Hi again, everyone. Gary Digit Williams here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. And the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network can be heard on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're on TuneIn, Podcast Addict. We're on Spotify, and we're on Google Podcasts. We can also be heard on my YouTube page, which is Gary Williams. We can also be heard on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network page on Facebook and on my Twitter page, which is at Digital25. So a lot of places you can hear Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. We're a little late on this podcast this week. We had a lot of things going on throughout the week, so we couldn't get to it until tonight. But we have a lot of things to talk about, and we're going to talk primarily results this week. We're not going to do a lot of schedules, because quite frankly, there isn't a whole lot there, but there are some bouts that will take place in the next couple of weeks. We'll talk about that in our next podcast. But we're going to focus primarily on the results, because we do have 3 results that took place over the last couple of weeks that we have to talk about. And, of course, the big one was the win for Gervonta Tank Davis over Leo Santa Cruz. Tremendous fight. We'll talk more about that near the end of the podcast. But also we have 2 other results we have to talk about as well. Also very positive results for Beltway boxers. The Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you as always by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas. For shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything in between. Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief. The fast plant-based ointment. If you go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. The pain relief now endorsed by 2-time world heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods, all at Deborah. That's Debra Spears.com. Well, this past Saturday, on November the 7th, big win for Jonathan Ryan, the Lion King Burrs, out of Frederick, Maryland. He's a super welterweight. He won a 4-round split decision over what turned out to be another Beltway boxer, although this is the first time he's fought representing his new hometown of Alexandria, Virginia. He fought a man by the name of Vitali Gopkin. He's originally from Suzoon, Russia, but now makes his home in Alexandria, Virginia. So we had 2 Beltway boxers fighting each other at the Benner Hassett Hotel in Parkersburg, West Virginia on Saturday, November 7th. And Burrs would win a 4-round split decision over Gopkin. Now, 2 of the judges scored the bout for Burrs 38-37. One judge saw the bout for Gopkin by that same score, 38-37. And the win breaks a 2-bout losing streak for Jonathan Burrs, who has been pretty busy as of late this year. His record now is even at 3-3. While Gopkin falls to 1-2, 1 KO. This is his first bout in the United States against Jonathan Ryan, the Lion King Burrs. So, big win for Jonathan Burrs. Congratulations to him. And we welcome Vitali Gopkin to the Beltway boxing area. Hopefully he'll be fighting in the area very, very soon. Meanwhile, I got to look back last Friday, October 30th, when Lamont Roach Jr., the super featherweight from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, he scored a 3rd-round knockout over Neil John Tabanao of Mando City, Cebu, Philippines. That was at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California, and the bout was streamed by DAZN. Roach was in complete control of the bout. He dropped Tabanao with a body shot in the 1st round, came back in the 3rd round, dropped Tabanao again, and forced the bout to be stopped at 34 seconds of the 3rd round. So, congratulations to Lamont Roach Jr. He successfully bounced back from his WBO Super Featherweight title challenge to Jamal Herring on November 2019, and he raised his record now to 20 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, with 8 KOs. Tabanao lose for the 4th straight time. He's now 17-8 with 11 KOs. So a big win for Lamont Roach Jr. Congratulations to him as well. So now we take a look at the very successful bout for Gervonta Tank Davis and over Leo Santa Cruz on Saturday, October 31st, at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. It was the headline of a pay-per-view by Showtime. And the bout itself, as you've probably seen by now if you got a chance to watch it, very close bout inside. Both guys fighting very valiantly, loads of heart. But Davis landed that one shot. And, you kind of live for watching that one shot if you're a boxing fan. And he came from deep down in the Baltimore range, so to speak. Uppercut from God knows where, and he knocked out Leo Santa Cruz. It was a brutal shot. somewhat reminiscent in some cases, although I think this one's even more brutal, when Donnell Dingling Man Wilson knocked out Emmanuel Noto. That was just, I'd never seen anything like that before in life. And the reaction that Noto had when Wilson landed the punch, I mean, look at his whole body just straightened up and then it just crumbled down. This wasn't that dramatic, but the fact that Santa Cruz with that one punch just went to sleep, basically, was something special, in all honesty. And it puts Gervonta Davis in a very interesting situation. I mean, first of all, before we even get to that, though, the one thing, and I keep saying it, and I've said it time and time again with Gervonta Davis, he came off of that battle against Santa Cruz, and he showed some class, with some real dignity when he tweeted Leo Santa Cruz and thanked him for being in with a warrior like him. It was beautiful. That was beautiful. And then a few days later, he gets involved in a hit and run crash in Baltimore. I mean, you just, you as a fan and a guy who has been following Gervonta Davis's career ever since his amateur days, you just hate to see that. I mean, it's just, sources say that he ran a red light and he crashed into a car and took off. I mean, you just got to shake your head because, you've got to make sure you avoid any of that. I mean, this is what you have enough money for. You made more than $1 million on this fight. Hire somebody to do the driving for you. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Hire someone to do the driving for you if you need to. I mean, it just boggles my mind on this. And he's got to do better. He is at a situation in his career where if he's not the top dog in the super featherweight or the junior lightweight division, he's right in the mix of it. He's definitely in the mix. He can call his own shot. People are calling him because, reporters are saying and critics are saying that although, and I just finished listening to someone recently who says that although Tank may be the most exciting fighter in boxing today, and I think he's right up there, he's very vulnerable. And that's part of the reason why he's so exciting, because he is so vulnerable. And I think that what the Santa Cruz fight kind of showed was, he is a little on the vulnerable side. I think he understood what Santa Cruz was going to do. He was going to come forward. And Davis, now that he's elevating his competition, may be getting hit more than he possibly should. But he always has the power. He does have the speed. And with Davis, the speed many times translates into power. Because if you look at that uppercut, it was not only the power that he landed the punch on Leo Santa Cruz, it was the speed that which led to the power to knock out Santa Cruz. That was a wickedly fast uppercut. So you got to wonder, why does he keep getting himself in these situations, Gervonta Davis? Why does he keep getting himself in these really tough situations? Because he is at a position where he can almost call his own shot. And there are people there lining up to take him on. If you listen to the social media, you saw Gary Russell Jr., WBC featherweight champion. In all honesty, I have a hard time, not so much with calling out Gervonta Davis, but the way he's doing. And I know, and I'll be honest with you, I do know Gary Russell and probably the Russell family is a little bit on the stress side. Gary Sr. has been in and out of the hospital. That's no secret. I'm not going to tell you why he's been there. I know why, but I'm not going to tell you why. But he has been in and out of the hospital. That's a given. Okay? So, there's some stress. But I'm wondering where the class is with Gary Russell Jr. at this case. I mean, I'm going off a little bit of tangent here, but he's got to be more classy. He could want Gervonta Davis all he wants to, and goodness knows it'll be a huge fight for the Beltway. I don't know where we could have it in the Beltway. That'll be quote unquote fair, be in a neutral territory. Maybe they have to have it at the Eagle Bank Arena in Virginia to bring the DC and Baltimore faithful to that location. Because I think really it could sell at it has the potential of selling out any location here in the Beltway once COVID all clears away. I think it has the potential to sell out any place in the Beltway, whether it be any place from FedEx. I think it has the potential to sell. That may be the only place they may not be able to sell is FedEx Field. But any arena in this area, MCI Center, definitely the entertainment sports arena. That'd be a given. It wouldn't be too small for that gym, for that location. You look at the Baltimore Arena. What's it called? That Royal Farms Arena. That's a possibility. I think it may be a little small, but I think it would be a possibility for that. Any casino in the area, whether it be Horseshoe, MGM National Harbor. MGM National Harbor might be a nice place, although it's closer to Gary Russell Jr. than it is to Gervonta Davis. But I think it's a fight that could really happen here in this area. And I know Gary Russell Jr. wants it badly. He said so. I think he's gone a little bit out of the way in the way he said it, but that's just my opinion. You've got Teofimo Lopez, again, one of the hot names in the business. Ryan Garcia has said he wants Gervonta Davis. You've got Devin Haney, who just fought and defeated Yorgos Gamboa, the same Yorgos Gamboa that Davis knocked out in the 12th round. So you've got a lot of options there for Gervonta Davis. And they can pick the best one and move forward. I think one thing Davis did accomplish during the course of the bout, and with that win, he is a true pay-per-view star right now. The buy rates, I heard, were pretty good. So he's a guy people want to see. There's no question. And he can definitely do it, but he's got to stay out of trouble. Again, he can hire drivers to drive him around now. I mean, he doesn't have to drive anymore if he doesn't want to. He can drive any place he wants. So he has to stay out of trouble. Stay out of these fights. He's got young children now he has to support, and he's really got to stay out of there. And Floyd Mayweather, Calvin Ford, Kenny Ellis need to get together and keep this young man, who is a future star, and if he keeps going the way he goes, he'll be the first Beltway boxer since Mark Two Shot Johnson to go into Canastota in the Hall of Fame. He has that potential. That's the potential that Gervonta Davis has. But he has to stay out of trouble. He's got to do that. If he doesn't do it, all this great talent that he has will be for naught. You can't use the talent if he's in a jail cell. Simple as that. Now, before we go, we do have two quick tributes to pass along. We lost, as I record this, two, I think, true legends in the business. I think for one of those two, I think legend doesn't match it. First one we lost him. Secondly, we lost a man by the name of Norm Crosby. Now, you have to be a little bit my age to know who Norm Crosby was. Norm Crosby was what we call the master of the malaprops. And what a malaprop is that he says one thing, but he mispronounces the name. And he mispronounces the word, and it turns out to be something else that's funny. And he loves to do that. He's fantastic. He was fantastic at doing that. Norm Crosby played all the major shows in Las Vegas, all the major concert halls. He once hosted a TV show called The Comedy Store. It was on syndication. We used to carry it here in the Washington, D.C. area. And what was great about The Comedy Store was not only did he have established comedy acts, stand-up comedians there, he also had very young artists who were trying to make their first break. So he had the likes of Arsenio Hall, Gary Shandling, Bob Saget, Brad Garrett. I mean, all these guys who we know now, and some, Gary Shandling's passed on, unfortunately, but a lot of these guys we got to know over the last few years, none of them got their break many of them, I should say, got their break at the Comedy Shop, hosted by Norm Crosby. So he was a fantastic person, always appeared on the Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon, and he was a wonderful, wonderful comedian. We're going to miss him. He died today at the age of 93. The other person, as you probably know by now, was Alex Trebek. And I look back, and of course he'll always be known for being the host of Jeopardy. And he did it for so long, and I remember when Jeopardy first started way, way back. And it was way before Alex Trebek even got the job there. Of course, we had the legendary Art Fleming was the host then. And if you ever watched the music video I Lost on Jeopardy with Weird Al Yankovic, that's the Jeopardy that he recalls back in the day. And Art Fleming and Don Pardo, who's the longtime announcer, were both in the music video. But Alex Trebek will always be the host of Jeopardy to many people. Now, I go back to with Alex Trebek way back in the 70s when I was a little kid. He was doing a TV show called The Wizard of Odds back in the day. And I used to watch all the game shows that he hosted over his long career. 5 decades of doing it. Likes of Battle Stars, High Rollers. That was a great show. Classic Concentration, Pitfall. Not Trivia Trap, excuse me. Double Dare, which not the show that was on Nickelodeon. It was another show altogether. And, of course, for many years on Jeopardy. And ironically, the announcer for Jeopardy, Johnny Gilbert, I believe is like 96 years old, and he's still doing it. So I feel for the person. Now, I don't think Jeopardy will go away because Trebek died. I hope not, because Jeopardy's a wonderful show. Always has been. But I wonder who is going to step into that role as the host of Jeopardy and just try to assume that role that Alex Trebek made his own for well over 30 years. And we're going to miss him because he was a great one. And I tell you, we just lost Tom Kennedy a couple weeks ago. So really very few of the legendary game show hosts that I grew up with are still with us. Wink Martindale's still here and Peter Marshall's still here. And I think that's it, in all honesty. I think that's it. So it's been tough. And 2020 has just been an awful year as far as entertainment, sports, anything you want to name. Just been an awful year altogether. And this continues that awful part of this year. So rest in peace to both Alex Trebek and Norm Crosby. Well, that will do it for another edition of Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Next podcast, we'll go over a little bit of the schedule. We have a couple of things that are in the works that we'll talk about in the next couple of weeks. But until then, thank you. And Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Go to freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. Get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Now endorsed by 2-time World Heavyweight Champion George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. Great weight loss tips, great jewelry, great training methods at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Mind you, as always, keep supporting the best boxing in the world. The boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.